All right, I realize I'm standing between you and lunch, so we're gonna make this a good one, okay? How's everybody doing? Can I get a whoop? A whoop, whoop. All right, let's get into it. So you see the title. We're not gonna pull any punches here, all right? Marketing attribution is a scam. Raise of hands, how many people know what marketing attribution is, familiar with the term? All right, I see a couple hands not raised. So just to level set, marketing attribution is the concept of assigning value to a marketing touch point, activity, channel in order to understand which one of those activities or combination of activities is contributing to the desired outcome. That can be donations, that could be memberships, that could be sponsorships, revenue. Okay, I've already messed up. I walked out without my clicker. Give me a second. And we're back. All right, so marketing attribution will not work, is not a scam. What gives me the right to say such a thing? What gives me the unmitigated gall, the audacity to say such a thing? Well, I've been in the marketing technology space my entire professional marketing career. I have spent nearly 18 years setting up tools, technologies, operationalizing them, managing them for a various number of companies, small, medium, large, all types of industries. I've seen it all, I've done it all, and I can say here, stand on the stage in front of you today without a shadow of a doubt and tell you to your faces that marketing attribution is a complete and utter scam and a waste of time. We're going to go through 6 reasons why I say that, and not only am I going to tell you that without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going to also tell you what to do instead. So first things first, marketing attribution is never going to work if it is supported by bad marketing, okay? Now, people tell me, oh, I do great marketing. Marketingsthebomb.com, what are you talking about? And I tell you, I've walked into a lot of organizations, and I can tell you I've seen some bad marketing. Okay, it's not the greatest, all right? So what we end up doing when we get technology, we believe the vendor. The vendor tells us, you can send the right message at the right time, in the right channel, with the right offer, anytime. You can look at your campaigns, and this tool will tell you exactly what you're doing wrong, exactly what you're doing right, and tell you what to do instead. It'll promise you the sun, the moon, the rain, the stars, all the unicorns, and none of that is true. They're lying to you. It doesn't do any of those things, okay? The tool can only do 3 things. It can only operationalize, manage, and execute. It will not do your marketing for you. It's not going to improve it for you. It can only support good marketing. It will not fix bad marketing. So first things first with marketing attribution is we need to understand that the approach is backwards. We get these tools in order to tell us what we should be doing. That is a backwards approach. We should know what we need to do. We do good marketing, and then the tool supports that. Okay, you say simple, fine, great. I do good marketing, no problem. I'm the bomb. Okay, quick poll here. Want to go through some things. Not everybody here is doing marketing attribution, which is totally okay. Raise of hands, how many people are doing reporting on their marketing? Way more people. Okay, tell me this. Have you ever built a dashboard or a report, but you are still working out of Excel? Show of hands. Tell me this. Have you ever noticed that you actually have a channel or an activity that is producing a lot of engagement, right? It's getting you acquisitions, it's getting you engagement, maybe getting you some leads, but it doesn't actually convert to like donations or sponsorships or memberships? Anybody? Raise of hands. Okay. Tell me this. Have you ever had the reverse? You have a channel that's actually contributing to maybe donations or memberships or sponsorships or revenue in some way, but you can't actually gauge where that engagement is coming from. You don't have insight into what's actually happening there. Show of hands, how many people? Okay, not as many. How about this? You actually have a process for sort of tracking your acquisitions really well. You kind of know where they came from, you know who's engaging, you can qualify them, but then there's a part of that process that sort of goes into the void. There's an ether. There's a part of that process where it's like, now I don't know what's happening with them. I may be handing them off to a donation team, a sales team of some sort, clueless about what's going on after that. Show of hands. Anybody has that problem? Few people. How about this? You actually do reporting, you present it to leadership, and they're skeptical of the numbers. They poke holes in it, they squint at it, they really don't believe what you are reporting. Anybody run into that issue? Okay, less hands here. You may be sitting next to your actual leadership. Just blink real quick if it's actually. Marketing attribution promises to solve all of these problems. It promises to have a lovely dashboard that is going to show you exactly where you're spending your money, exactly which one of those is producing the results, and exactly which activity or combination of activities is actually driving to the desired outcome. In reality, that is a lie. None of those things happen. As a matter of fact, if you get marketing attribution, all of those problems that we just listed are going to be exacerbated times 10. It's going to shine a light on all of your gaps in your data processes, your bad, dirty data, your lack of data quality and hygiene is going to be exacerbated times 10. Okay, so I hear you. I think I know what you're thinking. Okay, like that's okay. You know, I can fix my dirty data. I can get it cleaned up, fix all my processes. I have good marketing, no problem. What's wrong with marketing attribution, right? We're good to go. Not quite. Here's the next problem. So again, marketing attribution by definition is the process of trying to assign value to marketing activities, touch points, channels, in order to identify which activities or combination of activities is driving to the desired outcome. Again, donations, memberships, sponsorships, revenue. There are 3 popular types of marketing attribution models. There are actually like 5 or 6 type of models, but 3 are really the most common ones that businesses use. The first one is called first touch attribution. This is when you assign 100% of the credit to the first activity that the user engages with, okay? The second model is called last touch attribution. It's the reverse, right? So the last activity that the person engages with gets 100% of the credit for the outcome. Then we have multi-touch attribution. That is when we assign value across the touches. So for example, you can assign 20% of the credit to the first touch, 30% of the credit to the last touch, and you spread the difference of the 50% of the other credit in between the other touches, right? Sounds amazing. That is an awesome thing to do. It is not. Here's the problem. The issue with that is it is a premature way of assigning value to the relationship. Let me give you an example. Let's say I do an email campaign, I do a digital advertisement, I do a direct mail campaign, and I do an event, okay? All of that activity got me a $100 gift donation. All of those activities might have cost me $10,000. I'll look at that in isolation, I say that's a waste of money. I did not get my ROI from that, right? But what it don't take into account is, what if that $100 donation over 5 or 10 years turns into $10,000? Then what, right? Marketing attribution does not take into account lifetime value. It is premature, okay? We are judging the actions of our activities too early in the process. We don't give it space to actually grow and build the relationship. Okay, fair. What else? So, marketing attribution, the vendor is going to tell you that you could have a perfectly lovely dashboard, right? You do everything right, you clean up your data, you get it all set up, okay? You can have a dashboard that shows you exactly where you're spending your money, exactly what activities are producing results, what is actually driving the desired outcome, the donation, the sponsorship, the membership. You can present that to leadership and you can justify your spend, right? Based on all the money I spend, I'm this much successful. Here you go, leadership, give me more money. Doesn't happen in reality, okay? Never works out like that. You're gonna get a dashboard, it's going to have numbers on it, but you won't be able to make heads or tails of it, tell you that right now, okay? Because there is no correlation leading to the causation, okay? People don't move in a linear fashion, okay? You rarely see that, oh, they do all this activity, and then they donate, and then they sign up and do all these things. It doesn't really happen, right? You see a lot of anomalies, you know. My sister got breast cancer. We did the Susan G. Komen walk. I decided to donate. It's not going to show up in the thing, okay? We do things randomly. So in reality, you're going to see numbers, you're going to see dashboards, sure, but they don't have a correlation. So what do? You start to make assumptions, okay? We know what assumptions do. Make an ass out of you and me. So we make bad decisions based on assumptions and not actual analytics. Okay. So let's get into it. Let's really start to kick marketing attribution back in, all right? Let's really let's knock it out. All right, first things first. Engagement doesn't equal intent, okay? A lot of things happen where people just do activity, okay? They click, they engage, they download. It doesn't mean they're interested in your organization. Marketing attribution doesn't know the difference. They don't know the difference between people who have real intent and people who are just kicking tires, right? I show up to events all of the time. I don't always have interest in these companies, right? I just want to socialize. I want to network. My friend needs somebody to talk to because she's awkward and she said there'd be free food, so I'm here, right? Engagement doesn't equal intent. Not every marketing activity leads to direct revenue. We know this in nonprofit. There are things you need to do just for brand awareness, just for engagement, just for building relationship. Marketing attribution doesn't know the difference, okay? It's going to assume every activity that you do needs to be directed to pipeline. That's not true. The time of the reporting is based on your timing and not the end user's time. People donate when they're good and ready. They sign up when they're good and ready. They sponsor when they're good and ready. Doesn't care about your annual report, your monthly report, your quarterly report. What ends up happening is we short-side activities because the report is not showing us in this quarter it had this result. So we stop doing good things because they don't have immediate results. The technology is really, really good at tracking digital activity. It's not good at tracking offline activity. Can it do it? Sure. But again, it's manual, it's clunky, it's not clean. That means we have bad data, have bad processes, so on and so forth, okay? Because it's good at tracking digital activity, we end up overemphasizing digital activity, i.e. sending a ton of emails, and we don't emphasize offline activity like sending cards, doing direct mail, taking people out to lunches, because they're not easily tracked. So we emphasize digital activity, which doesn't have as much impact, and we underemphasize offline activity, which does have a lot of impact. Okay? And then finally, it's fake math. It's fugazi math. It's not real. It's just made up stuff. Okay? We give 20% to this touch, 30% to that touch, 15% to that touch. Why? It's random. What are we doing? For what? What does it mean? Nothing. Just making it up. It's fake math. It's not based on anything. Okay? All this to say that, look, it doesn't actually account for marketing, okay? It's not gonna track good storytelling. It's not gonna track good relationship building. It's not gonna track good content, okay? It doesn't do those things well at all. The things that actually move the needle, that actually make a difference, that actually have an impact are not actually tracked. All right, I'm almost done. I'm so close. Just one more stomp, and then we're there. Okay, do a little exercise with me. I want you to tell me, based on this chart, which activity of the 4 is the most successful. Okay, so I have a storytelling video. It cost $1,500. It got me 50 leads or acquisitions, 2 meetings, 1 donor, $1,000 gift. I did an email campaign. Didn't cost me anything. I got 200 leads or acquisitions, 10 meetings, no donors, no gifts. Did Facebook ads, cost me $5,000, got 400 leads, acquisitions, 5 meetings, 5 donors, $200 gifts. I did a donor event, cost me $30,000, 30 leads or acquisitions, 15 meetings, 3 donors, $2,000 in gifts. I'm gonna do a show of hands. How many people think the storytelling video is the most successful of the 4? How many people think the email nurture is the most successful of the 4? How many people think the Facebook ads most successful of the 4? Okay. How many people think the donor event most successful of the 4? All right, we got like Facebook ads, donor event, you guys are split. The answer is the most successful of these 4 depends, okay? Depends is the answer. What is success? Okay? If I'm looking at the gift number, the donor event is the most successful. However, it has the worst ROI. If I'm looking at ROI, storytelling video is the most successful. If I'm looking at cost per acquisition, the email nurture is the most successful. If I'm looking at sheer number of donors, Facebook ads is the most successful. If I'm looking at acquisition to meeting conversion, the donor event is the most successful. What is success? Okay. This is why the marketing attribution is a complete and utter scam. It doesn't tell you anything, okay? Doesn't tell you anything. What is success? I understand that as an organization, look, we are here for fundraising, donations, memberships, sponsorships, revenue. That's how we make money. I get it. However, those metrics are the responsibility of the entire organization. Those are not department goals. Those are organizational goals. From a marketing department, based on what is the function of your department, what is the goal that we are driving towards, okay? That's what we need to answer first. A marketing attribution model is focused on pipeline, bottom line revenue. We know that that's an organizational goal. From a marketing standpoint, we can have a bunch of goals. Marketing attribution sucks at all those other goals, okay? Not only does it suck at all those other goals, those are different reporting structures. Those are different ways of setting up campaigns. Those are different ways of reporting back to business, okay? It doesn't do any of those things well. So, have I won? Have I successfully kicked marketing automation's back in? It's terrible, yeah? Awesome, fantastic. All right, what to do instead? Here we go. First things first, we need to answer some key questions, okay? I can't state this enough. We really do need to understand the marketing has to be good. We need to understand our audience. We need to understand not only what they want, but what their pain points are. I talk to a lot of nonprofits. They have struggles with Gen Z. How do we get Gen Z to donate? They don't donate. They don't show up. They don't do anything. Okay? We need to understand their psychology. Okay? We need to understand them emotionally, culturally. Boomers, Gen X, early stage millennials, we're in person, okay? We like that stuff. We are human connection people. Gen Z's online. That's where they build their relationships. They build them online first. They have online communities with their own culture, their own language. If you want to reach them, you need to either be there or create spaces for them there. The marketing has to be there, okay? That's just understanding our audience, right? We say we get them, we know their problems, and then we don't actually solve their problems. That's not marketing, all right? We have to understand our audience first. We need to have goals that marketing can control, okay? Whatever that is for your business. Based on our audience, based on the marketing goals that we can control, we need to come up with activities, a combination of activities that align with those goals based on our audience, okay? That is the foundation. Step 1. Step 2, we align the framework, all right? Now, this is going to be based on the buyer's journey. I'm a big fan of buyer's journey, not because people buy or engage linearly, but because it gives marketing structure, and that is key. We need structure in order to be consistent with our messaging and build campaigns that make sense. We do a lot of throwing spaghetti at the wall. I'm gonna do this email campaign. I'm gonna do this direct mail. I'm gonna do this advertising. I'm gonna do this event. And all those are supposed to drive to donations. That's not fair. People gotta meet people where they're at. Buyer's journey allows us to meet people where they're at. So, buyer's journey, awareness, interest, consideration, decision, top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel. We're gonna have activities that align to each stage of the buyer's journey. We are going to have one success metric per activity that aligns to the buyer's journey. What does that look like? For example, I have a digital advertising campaign, top of funnel, that leads to a landing page that explains what my organization is, what we do, who we help, what we offer. The success metric for that is going to be time on page. Anything above 2 minutes is a success. That is my activity for top of funnel. I have a different activity for middle, different activity for the bottom. Let's build on this concept. The thing that I want to measure is movement in the activity. Let's build upon this top of funnel activity example. I have a digital advertising campaign that leads to a landing page. I'm going to grade the success of that advertisement on time on page. I want to then have a next step that indicates interest. Once they're on the landing page, my goal is to get them to sign up for the newsletter. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing in the middle, same thing at the bottom. My middle campaign engagement could be a webinar or an in-person event. Next step is a volunteer activity. Okay? One step to another. Bottom can be a dinner leads to the actual donations. I'm meeting people where they are at and getting them to take an action that indicates interest in the next step. Okay, I want to measure movement. Let's continue to build upon this. What I'm not going to do anymore is have a single activity that leads to my outcome. It's not really fair, and you're looking at things in isolation and not in context. My Facebook ad shouldn't lead to donations. That is a heavy lift for it to do. I want to meet people where they're at. So I'm going to measure them, the activity that leads to the next activity, and then measure that in context, okay? Continue to build on this. The activity that I want you to do is I want you to pick a single activity. I want you to assign a reasonable goal to it. I want you to assign a funnel stage to it, pick a success metric, and then a progression metric, okay? You're gonna repeat this for every stage of the funnel. Why am I a big proponent of this? First things first, we're looking at activity in context. We're being fair to it. We're not asking a single activity to drag someone through the entire funnel. Okay, we're meeting people where they're at. This also allows you to build campaigns around a story, okay? I'm identifying the problem. I'm understanding where people are at with that problem in relationship to my business, and then I'm bringing them to the next thing. So on and so forth. I'm allowed to be consistent within that structure. And guess what else? It's easy to report on, okay? I don't need fancy tools. So, how do I know what's success or not? One, are people actually doing the success metric? For example, are they staying on page 2 minutes? If not, I need to optimize within that. Are they moving to the next step? Are they signing up for the newsletter? If not, I need to optimize within that. How do I grade this, okay? We're giving it fair context. We're going to establish a baseline. We're going to give it 3 months, establish a baseline, and then we need to establish how to move up from that baseline. If we cannot do that, this is where we do things like tests because it makes sense. We optimize because it makes sense. I test messaging. I test design. I test the offer, okay? This also gives me enough time and context to let things play out. I don't make decisions within 6 months because it's not working. It's not fair, okay? So, that was a lot of information really, really quickly. I totally understand it. I'm sure you guys have questions. Slowing it down, just taking a step back and backing up a little bit. First thing we want to do is be asking the right questions. Externally, we need to understand what our audience desires based on their psychology, their emotions, and their culture. We need to have those questions answered. Once we do, then we can come up with campaigns that respond to those things. This is going to help us. How are we doing the right thing? That work should be done up front, not after, okay? We need to establish goals of which marketing can control, okay? If that's number of donors, if that's an engagement number, if that's ROI, if that's some conversion number, what are we trying to accomplish here? All of that needs to be established up front. We are going to grade the success of these activities based on movement. Are people taking the next action? Okay, if they are not, we need to adjust the next action. or we need to adjust the activity. We don't care about credit anymore. We need to have structure. Okay, we have to have structure. This is going to help us be consistent. We need to tell a consistent story over time. People don't respond to things in weeks or months or quarters, right? Years with an S on it. First time you saw a Coca-Cola commercial, you didn't go out and start buying cans of Coke, right? It takes time. The way that we are going to actually know where we should invest our money in is where we are seeing progression. Okay? Where people are progressing, that's where we double down. We also be able to identify gaps. Where are people getting stuck? Where does it take longer for them to move forward? All of those things are natural, but we'll be able to assess them properly and act on them because we have structure around our campaigns and our activities. Okay. If you scan this QR code, I have a campaign worksheet for you that helps guide you through this process. Also, I'm going to give you a journal article where I break down this entire process of marketing attribution, what not to do and what to do instead, how to create activities that align to the buying funnel, okay? Also, what you'll get if you fill out that QR code in that form is my contact information. I'm well aware that this is very dense information and I went over it with you very quickly, so I'm happy to answer any questions, clarify any points that didn't make sense for you, okay? Appreciate you guys standing with me, holding through lunch. Hopefully that made sense to you all, and I appreciate your time. Have a good one. See you guys.